Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Did you work out this morning?
Not yet. I slept in a little bit, so these are the first words I've spoken. But I have been back on kind of a more consistent, like cardio type of workout kick lately. Through my strength training gym, I did like a bod pod analysis. It's a body composition, fat to muscle ratio stuff. I feel like I fared decently well in 2020, but I think the tail end really kind of caught up with me. So I'm trying to right the ship a little bit.
Yeah, the bod pods are always sobering.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever been like, wow, that's way better than I thought it was. It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And now it's kind of cool because I have like 2.5 years of data now plotted. Like every time I do it, they just update the graph. So I can kind of see how it's trended over time.
That's cool. I have my measurements in like a Google sheet somewhere.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's kind of fun to track that.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Well, I only asked you if you worked out because I did, and I wanted to brag about it.
Well, good for you.
I tried a training session with somebody. Actually, the first time I've ever had like a private fitness training thing, I think. Anyway, at least in recent memory. It definitely helps in terms of accountability. Like I would not have woken up this morning and been like, all right, time to work out. I would have been like, nah. Like I wasn't really feeling it. I like had a cocktail with a friend on Zoom last night. And so, didn't sleep that great and woke up and was like, meh. But then like, it's like, well, I paid the guy and we have a calendar invite. So I got to do this thing. So I showed up and did it. And it's like, yep, turns out I feel better. So yeah, it works. That trick.
So it was virtual. Was it like a lot of body weight stuff, or did you use bands or weights? Or
yeah, a lot of body weight stuff and a little bit of mobility stuff, and it was kind of like an intro. It was the first time we had done anything together, so he was kind of laying out his method. This is actually a thing that kind of irks me a little bit about the fitness world, is that everyone develops their own like named system. Where it's like, well, I've taken what I've learned over 12 years of being a this, plus, and I've mixed in some martial arts, and I mixed in. It's like, okay, and you invented your own fitness system that's better than all the other systems, and now you want to teach it. And like, you have names for things that everyone calls this, but you just called it something different because that way you can, make it yours, and it's a little silly.
Yeah. I mean, the confidence to develop your own system, because like you probably don't have that big of a sample size to really know if it's working that well. But
yeah, it's a little bit of voodoo or something. There's a little bit of silliness in the fitness world, but whatever. I feel better than I did when I woke up, so hey.
Thanks. Cool. That's good. Count that as a win.
Yeah. And speaking of like kind of biohacks and whatnot, I had an interesting experience. So I got an Aura ring.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I've been thinking about
that.
Yeah. Which is cool. It's a neat little device. Like it gives me little stats about like how well you slept and for how long and what your heart rate was and what your temperature was and things like that. So I've read a million times that like you want the room you sleep in to be cold. And people would usually say like, think about like 65 degrees is like a target. And I'd never actually gone that cold. I had always just been like, yeah, I'll cool it off at night. So I would like turn my heat down to like 68, 67, that kind of thing. And a couple of days ago, I was just like, you know what? Let me just try 65 and see how it feels. And I did. And I immediately saw my sleep scores improve. It's been, I think, 4 or 5 days now of like pretty consistent, like better numbers than before when the room was just a few degrees warmer. And I tend to run warm anyway. So I'm thinking of probably like, I might even go a little bit lower and see what happens. It certainly could be coincidence. Maybe I'm just less stressed or something, but it really did. It was kind of like, on this day, it was these degrees and it was bad. And then like for the last 4 or 5 days, I made it colder and it's like the numbers have improved. So might be something to that.
Yeah. Interesting. I have this device because I live in an apartment building that's very well insulated. And so even in the winter, it's like hard to get it cool in here.
Yeah. I have to open my windows to actually do it. I have the same thing.
Yeah. So my wife runs colder than me. So we kind of have this like problem of like, I'm always tend to be warmer. She tends to be cooler. But I think this is actually a product that like made it through Shark Tank. It's called a bed jet. And
okay.
Basically what it is you stick the
This
little...
is a PG-13 show, Derek.
Yeah. No, don't worry. Don't worry. Okay. So it's like a little air conditioner, I guess, heater or air conditioner, depending on what you need. And it has this little hose that you just stick the nozzle under the covers, but on top of the, so it's just where you are, but it's kind of right at the foot of the bed. And it just pumps cool or warm air in. You can like set it so it'll auto turn off or whatever. And you can change the fan levels and stuff, but it's like just enough. Like in the summertime, it would set like just a trickle of cool air all night long, and it was pretty nice.
That's cool. Do you still use it regularly?
Yeah. And now I just use it like in the wintertime, mostly just like blast some warm air in as opposed to using like an electric blanket or something to like warm the bed up before getting in. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been considering these like an 8 sleep bed. Have you seen these things, I assume?
I don't think so, actually.
It's like a bed with, I think, water cooling or heating built into it. Like multi-zone water temperature control, kind of like what your thing is. When you achieve level 3 tech brohood, you get an 8 sleep bed.
Right. Yeah.
You get the Tesla, you get that bed.
Yep.
You drink bulletproof coffee, that kind of thing.
Or you roast your own coffee. I've been doing that lately, by the way.
Have you really?
Yes.
You roast your own coffee at your home?
Yes. I highly recommend it.
Do you really?
Yes. So here's how it works.
Skeptical. Go ahead.
So you could basically use a popcorn popper. So there's this website called Sweet Maria's. They like source raw coffee beans from a bunch of different regions, and you can buy them in small quantities, and they're really cheap. So I drink a ton of coffee, and my coffee budget was decent for beans. I would just buy from like local coffee shops to do their own roasting and stuff, and it's a not insignificant amount of money. So, but I didn't really do it for the cost savings. I want to experiment with like more varieties from around the world and just kind of see if I can master the art of roasting. So this website, Sweet Maria's, sells like a kit, but it's basically just like they've figured out what the best popcorn popper is to use. Like it has a solid base on the bottom, and the little thing doesn't tend to stick on the bottom when you turn the crank to spin, keep the beans moving around. Really, it's just about like dialing in the right temperature, the right amount of flame on the stovetop to keep the temperature pretty consistent. And it takes like, I don't know, it's about 10 to 15 minutes for a batch. And you can experiment with lighter roasts or darker roasts and beans from different regions. So it's really like, I think it's the kind of thing that a lot of people think would be way harder than it actually is.
When you said I'm roasting my own beans, I was picturing the machines I've seen in like giant coffee shops where it's like 1,000 pounds of steel.
Yes. And that's like the next level up. So a buddy of mine that has been doing this for years, finally like someone for Christmas one year got him like an at-home roaster that's similar in concept to those big ones you see, but it's like just has a little canister that turns and it has its own heat source. You don't need that. You can do it on your stovetop. As long as you have good ventilation, because it can produce a decent amount of smoke. So like if you have a good vent hood, that comes in handy. But
so roasting your own coffee will give you lung cancer, but other than that, it's pretty good.
Right. Well, I have my aware unit in my apartment. And it definitely spikes when I roast, but I just open the doors and windows.
I also got aware, and it makes you realize like cooking kind of ruins the air quality. I open windows when I cook now pretty much all the time because you can see it. It's kind of shocking. That's interesting. I mean, I like a really dark roast, and so that kind of appeals. Like I could get my own dialed in roast level experiment. That sounds kind of fun. I don't know if this level of coffee nerdery is quite for me, but I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I could see why people would be into this.
Yeah, I've been collecting many obscure hobbies over the last year.
You got to do something.
Knife sharpening. You sharpen your own knives.
Ooh. Now that appeals. That sounds good. Yeah,
because you never want to. Once you've worked with really sharp knives, you never want to work with a dull knife again.
It's so good. Yeah. A really sharp knife, man. It's such a pleasure.
It is.
I literally buy people knives. Like I go to their house and I'm like, you don't have this is your chef's knife? They're like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh my God. And I just go on Amazon. I'm like, look, you have a knife on the way. You can't live like this. I can't watch you live like this.
Yeah. I love that.
Okay. So yeah, I could see having a sharpening thing at home would be nice.
Because you have like the honing rods, which is good maintenance, but that's not actually sharpening. It's not removing any material. So yeah, again, this is one of those things where I think people assume that it's way more, like the barrier is way higher to get into it. There's this thing called, just Google Ken Onion. That's the guy's real name. He's like, he like creates knives. And I think he like partnered up with this company that has done like tool sharpening equipment, and they made like a knife sharpening thing, and it's like $120 on Amazon, and comes with the belts, and you can sharpen your own knives.
Nice. Sounds pretty glorious.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what else is going on in your world?
Well, I guess we should talk about business a little bit. Last time we recorded, it was like the morning after my Product Hunt launch. And I think I may have mentioned that like, oh, I got featured in their newsletter, but I didn't have any results from it. All I knew was that when I peeked at my analytics, there were 150 people currently on the site. When I looked, I was like, oh, I think this is driving some traffic. Turns out that was the real prize, was the newsletter feature. It like drove 3x the amount of traffic, signups, trials, all that stuff.
Isn't that always the way?
Yep.
Email, man.
Yeah. Which intuitively makes sense because it's like it's pushed into someone's inbox as opposed to a passive thing. Someone looks at it on a website, you know. Kudos to the Product Hunt staff. Like they wrote a like block of text about SavvyCal in their own words. Like they didn't just copy, you know, words off of my website. They did their own like assessment, and it's really, really good. Like I want to use it on my site somewhere now because it's just like the way they phrased it was really compelling. That has been driving an insane amount of traffic. So to date, now we're 1 week out, 2,300 signups to the first stage of the funnel and several hundred active trials at the moment. So,
whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's pretty substantial.
Yeah. So things are heating up a bit, and
nice.
I'm feeling good about it.
Very cool. How's the usage on the trials?
I guess I haven't really looked at specific metrics around that, but it seems like, I mean, a ton of people like replying to my onboarding emails with questions and just feedback and stuff. So like engagement seems pretty high, which is encouraging because, you know, you would expect maybe it's just a lot of like people curious looking around but not intending to use it. I mean, trials are going to start converting today from Product Hunt. So I'll be able to report metrics back, see if my trial to paid conversion rate is staying insanely high like it is right now. I basically have been digging myself out of an email hole for the last couple of days. I had like, I think 400 emails or something like that.
From like trialers and people giving feedback and questions. Yep. Awesome. That's great.
Like we ask a couple questions in the first email we send out, like, hey, how'd you hear about us and why did you sign up? And so a lot of, you know, qualitative data from that. But yeah, a surprising number of people taking me up on actually replying to that email, which is good. That's what I want, you know.
I think that's part of like the beauty of the early stage startup is like people are more interested in engaging with you and helping you in general. I actually feel like we're losing a little bit of that. Is like my intuitive sense is like people I think are now surprised to like hear from one of the founders or like that we're a small company.
Yeah. You're making progress down that like the crossing the chasm bell curve, right? Like marching more towards the kind of fat middle section where people are like not as early adopter-ish in their behavior. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And like they don't actually know me or us in general. It's just like, yes, this is a tool that maybe solves my problem. I was just checking the other day. Like we used to get a really great uptake on like tweeting about the product. Like we have an automated prompt. Like when someone does their 5th 5-star call, we say, hey, would you mind spreading the word a little bit? I think we used to get like 10% maybe of people would do that. And now it feels more like 2% or something. Like it's just there's way fewer. And despite signing up lots of customers. So I think we are like moving away from I know Ben, he's a good guy, I want to help him. Or like, I know Joel and Spencer or something. And like now it's more like, I don't want to help this faceless corporation. Yeah. Even though we do sort of like try to play out that angle in the emails, like, you know, just so you know, we're a little company and we want your help and stuff. But
right.
There's a bit of a different feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny how those cycles happen. I mean, it'll probably eventually happen where some new competitor will come in and try to say, like, we're the small, scrappy version of Tuple. Tuple's big now. They're corporate.
Yeah. Well, somebody said something on Twitter which is like, you know, yeah, I've seen Tuple, but like, what's the new hotness or something like that?
Yeah.
And I was like,
are you kidding me?
Barely 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, old news. Sorry. What's new?
We can be a bit fickle sometimes, can't we? In the tech world.
This is the developer thing.
Yeah.
Love the new stuff. But man, I'm continually kind of blown away at how many 20-person plus software development teams there are in the world that I have never heard of. I'll just be like, wow, this company's paying us $500 a month. I must have heard of them. Who is it? And I look at them like, I have no idea. Like they serve this random vertical in the construction industry or in like just like some business line I've never even heard of or thought of before. And they have 20 programmers on their team. And it's like, wow, that's amazing. It's a good spot to be in. I think selling to software people is, I feel good about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, would you feel like you've crossed the chasm? Like you familiar with that concept of like?
I am loosely, yeah. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on it. So the crossing the chasm would be like we're now away from early adopters and now like the people that are more like cautious or want to use the mainstream proven thing. That's a good question. I mean, I guess yes in some ways. Like there are companies that you've heard of that I don't consider fast-moving, adventurous tech companies, but more like kind of stodgier, maybe brick and mortar retailers, kind of things like that. And we're being used by their tech teams. And so like to me, that kind of feels like a yes, I guess, in that like we're being sold to places that make us fill out forms and, have accounts payable departments and things like that. It's definitely not just startups with credit cards. But at the same time, I feel like Tuple is version like 0.83 right now or 82. And so it's like, we're not even 1.0 yet. Like, how could you say we crossed the chasm? Like it still feels, and like, yeah, there's still a lot to do. There's still so much to improve and fix and whatnot. So, but I think that might just be my product manager bias kicking in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. Do you think a big driver of that has been the fact that companies like Shopify have been public about using Tuple? Like, do you feel like that's been a big driver? Or has it just kind of been the organic, like word of mouth type of expansion? Like, how are these people who are outside of your immediate sphere hearing about Tuple and deciding to use it?
This would be a great thing to know better.
Yeah.
I have an intuitive answer here, but like we don't ask people this regularly, and we probably should. But it seems like there's a lot of like Twitter word of mouth or like developer community Slacks or forums or things like that. I don't know what that indicates about what phase we're in or whatnot, but
Right.
But I mean, we're not doing any advertising, and we do some marketing, but not much, honestly, yet. So I think it basically kind of has to be mostly just viral / word of mouth stuff happening.
Right. And I mean, yeah, that's like a feature of your market. I mean, developers who are using the tool, and some of them are the ones in this position of buying the tool, but like developers talk a lot. They hang out online, and that's a good feature to, I mean, it's hard to like use word of mouth as a strategy, but if you have it, that's great, and I think it's a quality of your market.
And shout out to Farhan at Shopify, their VP engineering, who has been saying nice things about us pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate. And like just the other day, like just now, someone was like, I like previously made fun of Farhan for like saying so much nice things about Tuple, but now I tried it and it's great. It's like, oh man, thank you.
Making converts out there.
He's helping. It's great.
That's good. Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess I can continue on a little more SavvyCal stuff.
Yeah, sounds good.
This has been a really crazy week. Lots of and part of that is hearing a lot of ways that SavvyCal is deficient for people's use cases right now. So I'm definitely feeling the pressure to deliver on features quickly, and I think kind of two big things have coalesced as like the top things to be focusing on at the moment. So a lot of people wanting team functionality, like, and I think people look at the product today and just kind of assume like, hey, I'm trying to like add a teammate onto this thing because I want them tagged on there, and I can't seem to find where to do that. So like most people are like assuming like it looks like the product can support that today, and that seems like an obvious thing it would have. Like where do I do that? And then I'm like, I have to tell people like, oh, we don't have that quite yet. But thankfully, most people that I've replied to about that, I've told them like this is top priority on the roadmap right now. So I'm hoping to make significant progress on this in the first quarter.
So what do you mean by add a teammate in this case?
Well, there's a couple different modes people want to do. Like one is just like adding someone onto the invite as like an additional invitee, and another is like I want to make sure that we only present availability that works for multiple people, which is kind of the same thing, but like an extra level of like this person is not an optional attendee; it's a required attendee. This other teammate, so we want to make sure that we block when they're unavailable. That's the number one requested thing. Round robin comes up too for like customer success or demos or something like that. But that one doesn't get mentioned nearly as often as kind of more the collective scheduling link where you're just basically adding more additional people on.
Gotcha. So it's like if you and I work together and we want to schedule a meeting that you and I are both going to attend with some other third person. So we both need to be available.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you going to do like 3 sort of unrelated people scheduling a meeting kind of thing, or groups that are not coworkers basically?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's no reason, I don't think, to block it at 2, like I think you can have n number of additional people who are in SavvyCal. So I think there's going to be layers to this. I'm going to try to break it down into really small chunks that I can ship. So like, I think the first step that I'm thinking about is like, okay, if you're a part of a team in SavvyCal, it's relatively easy for me to like query who your teammates are and present those in a drop-down list. So you can just like add teammates. The next level would be like adding someone who's not a user in the system, but like an arbitrary email address where we don't necessarily have their calendar yet, because if they don't have a SavvyCal account, I think there's just more like permissions flow involved in that, and like kind of what emails do we send to those type of people who aren't in SavvyCal yet versus the people who are already in the system. It can be more automatic, So,
right. It seems like it was going to need its own flow. So like this came up for me the other day. I was trying to schedule a call with 2 other people. And so we're trying to find the union of our 3 schedules. You need everyone's schedule before anyone can pick the time, right? So it's like if I invite person A and even if they have a SavvyCal account or sync with it or whatever, we still are waiting for that third person before we can even start picking times.
Right. Which then, and that kind of breaks the paradigm, because right now a scheduling link, you configure it and then it's sent to one decision maker, And so I think step 1 will be like, well, if you and I, Ben, are on the same team, we both have our calendars connected, I can just add you and you're basically have already responded with your availability, And so then it's still up to one recipient. It gets tricky when a scheduling link now becomes it almost becomes like a tentative event as opposed to a link. Like you're creating an event that you want multiple people to attend. So it's like already a thing that can then send out emails and be like, hey, you've been invited to this event, as opposed to like, here's a scheduling link that I push out to you and then you select a time. So there might even be a different domain concept for that in the app, which is kind of going to explode the complexity of it a bit.
Yeah. But, yeah. Sounds like, almost sounds like a new problem kind of. It's like a whole new thing.
And I think that's an area that like Calendly doesn't really address today. And like there's Doodle, like people are pretty familiar with like the concept of a Doodle poll, where you just, one person kind of lays out some times and then people vote on the ones that they can make it to, which is fine, but not great, especially if we do manage to have like a tentative event where everyone wires up their calendar and we know we can take the intersection of everyone's availability and just determine for everybody, like, here are the times where you all are available. That's even better than the polling thing. So we'll get there.
Okay.
In due time.
Well, it sounds annoying, so I won't hold my breath for that particular feature.
Yeah. That iteration is the last one probably, where it's like, yeah.
But it was annoying, I will say. And somebody was like, does SavvyCal support this yet? And I was like, no, but I really wish it did. We're in 3 different time zones. And people were like, well, I can do Tuesday, but not when. And it was just like, it was the classic crappy scheduling experience.
Yeah. Well, I think that's something important as I think about like differentiating features. There's kind of 2 ways to look at products sometimes. It's like focus on MVP, like what's the smallest iteration of something that I can ship, and keep doing that kind of broadly across the spectrum of features. And then there are times to go like really deep on one thing. So I could see, even though this is annoying and it's going to be tricky, I could see like going really deep on this and like solving it really well in a way that kind of just takes things to the next level.
Totally. Yeah. That lets you have some differentiation, and like, no, we don't just do this okay, we do this really well. That's our thing. I don't know if this is the right thing to do it on, but that strategy in general, I think has some merit for sure. You kind of have to do that for something, right? There needs to be a thing that is your thing. It's like, we're going to sweat this detail more than anybody else, and that's why you're going to choose us over other people.
Yep. I mean, there are a few like primary benefits to using SavvyCal over other things today, and the big one that's featured on our main positioning and stuff is like the kind of helping ease the power dynamic thing, which we have like 5 bullet points on like, here are 5 different ways that SavvyCal helps you with that. And so the question is like, do I try to go even deeper on some of those things, or do I listen to relentless requests for team scheduling stuff is definitely kind of tugging me in that direction too, but that pulls me away a little bit from.
Yeah. I was thinking about this the other day. So I think you could make progress on this. I think there's like ways to make it better for sort of like your median case. But I was trying to imagine like as a thought experiment, kind of the extreme ends where it's like, okay, let's imagine I'm in an email thread with Tim Cook. And he's like, yeah, let's do a call. And I'm like, sure, Tim, here's my calendar link. You just go click on SavvyCal and just pick it. And it's like, I'm just never going to do that ever. Right. So like when the imbalance is really substantial, it's never going to feel appropriate. And so like, that doesn't necessarily mean that like solving the median case is not actually a great problem to do and like possible and worthy. But like at some point, you're going to not be able to solve it. And so that made me question, like, I wonder if that's the right thing to solve in general. If as the imbalance grows, it just becomes untenable.
Mm-hmm. It's probably like a bell curve distribution of quantity of meetings that have that much stratification, that much like gap in power dynamic. And I think the ones like the thick middle, I think, is the ones where it's like it's pretty decently close on power dynamic. So if I can improve in that area, like that's still making strides. But yeah, the cases where you're emailing Tim Cook, like, yeah, that won't be solved by software.
Yes. I like when you say thick middle. Yeah. So I don't actually know if like this point is valid or interesting, but I thought it was kind of intriguing when I realized at the extremes it feels unsolvable. So like, what might that say about the middle? Not sure.
I do have some ideas about like one area that could help with the cases where it's more extreme and like software is not really going to cut it. There are tools on the market that are trying to solve this with quote unquote AI, where you like literally talk to a robot, which to me, I'm very bearish on that because I think we're not anywhere close to the place where like we can actually fool people into thinking that they're talking to a human. So like you always know you're talking to a robot, and then like I feel like chatbots have never lived up to their promise of like, yeah, you can offload support to a bot and it'll just talk to your customers for you and save you all this time. Like I just don't buy it, right? And I think it would also be very out of the question to have your like scheduling bot talk to Tim Cook too, So
right, totally.
But one thing that could be interesting is like literally offering human automation, like have a fleet of personal scheduling assistant humans that will chime into email threads for you, not automated, real humans. And that would be part of like obviously a very premium tier of the product, but save you the trouble of like hiring your own VA or your own like personal assistant full time or whatever.
I like that, the sort of willingness to like throw people into the thing. I think a lot of software folks are just like, no, like how do we do this with code? And like being willing to occasionally reach for that, like what if you put people in this loop, I think is actually could be pretty potent.
Yeah. And it would basically be like people would be using your SavvyCal links behind the scenes, but it would just be like you're talking to a human assistant as opposed to sending a link to somebody for those cases where like it just doesn't fit the occasion,
Yeah. I wonder if that still triggers some of that same impulse though. Like, I'm like, hey, Tim, why don't you work with my assistant to figure out a time for you two to meet?
Right. Yeah.
So potentially. Might not solve it. I don't know.
May not solve it enough, but that one's just kind of floating around in the back of my mind of like.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. It's over. It's already been a half an hour. Time flies.
We've made an episode. Look at that.
Let's do it. Let's wrap it.
All right.
Notes of the show.
Notes of the show can be found at artofproductpodcast.com.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.